Ratatouille. Pixar's 8th movie and a favorite of many, the story centers around a rat named Remy who desires to become a great chef despite the fact that the cooking industry is rodent-phobic. When Gusteau's son, Linguini, accidentally spills some of the soup and attempts to recreate it without any knowledge of cooking, Remy comes in to fix the soup. From then on, Remy and Linguini team up to keep up the success of cooking food at Gusteau's restaurant, thanks to Remy's talented cooking abilities, as long as he remains under Linguini's hat to keep from getting caught. But the question remains, who is the most good and who is the most evil? I'm Rachel D. Champlain with Wicked Binge, and this is Ratatouille, Good to Evil.
You're thin for someone who likes food.
As usual, we'll be starting with the good characters and then work our way down. The gold medal for the most good goes to the late Auguste Gusteau, the extremely talented chef who founded his own restaurant and wrote his own book called Anyone Can Cook. Gusteau was a jovial and kind-hearted man who wanted nothing more than to inspire others as a chef.
Your only limit is your soul.
He also plays a big role in Remy's story arc, not only as his idol, but as his conscience too. He has acted as a voice of reason many times towards Remy, and will call him out on his actions when necessary. For example, when Remy attempts to eat a piece of bread at a party in Paris, Gusteau tells him that a cook makes, a thief takes.
A cook makes, a thief takes.
He also calls out Remy when he first sneaks into the kitchen to steal food for his clan when it could get Linguini in huge trouble. When Remy gets captured by Skinner, Gusteau reminds him that he doesn't need to pretend to be anyone else and never had to, which was a great word of advice. The silver medal goes to Remy's big brother Emile. Emile is friendly, understanding, and supportive of Remy. Throughout the beginning of the movie, Emile was the only rat who knew about his cooking, TV watching, and reading.
It's like you're involving me in crime, and I let you.
However, he ended up carelessly telling his friends about Remy's activities inside Gusteau's, which he was specifically told not to do, especially since it led to the Rat Clan getting caught by Linguini for stealing food from the kitchen. Despite that setback, Emile comes through for Remy whenever he needs his big brother. For example, when Remy gets captured by Skinner, Emile gets their dad to save him from the limousine. Along with the rest of the rat colony, he also helps Remy prepare the ratatouille for Anton Ego. The bronze medal goes to Gusteau's son, Alfredo Linguini. Linguini is an unsure and clumsy garbage boy when he is first introduced. He is also somewhat naive and trusts others too easily. For example, when Skinner invited him to drink wine together, Linguini failed to grasp onto the fact that Skinner was trying to get him drunk in order to get him to talk about Remy.
You know who know do.
However, what puts him high on the list is that he is very friendly and kind-hearted. He doesn't drown Remy after he was ordered by Skinner to get rid of him. Despite initially holding distrust of Remy when they became acquaintances, his trust with him deepens the closer they become. His kindness also shows when he lets Remy stay in his home, giving him food in the pantry when noticing that he's hungry. And he also thanks Colette for helping him instead of complaining about her training being hard. This shows how Linguini is the kind of person to never show ill will to anyone. Now let's move on to our tiny protagonist, Remy. Remy is known to be an unconventional rat because of his love for food and its quality, or as he says, the good stuff. Because of his strong sense of smell, he was able to save his father from eating a poisoned apple core.
That's right, cleanerific poison checker.
After meeting and teaming up with Linguini, he stumbled upon hidden documents connected to Linguini, which he then proceeds to risk his own life to bring those documents to Linguini. Thanks to Remy, Linguini takes control as the rightful owner of the restaurant and becomes a grand success with the help of his cooking abilities. However, Remy doesn't always think about the consequences of his actions. When Linguini credits his talents to Colette, the duo get into a disagreement about it. In retaliation, Remy lets his family raid the kitchen one night, only to end up getting thrown out when Linguini discovers them.
I thought you were my friend. I trusted you.
Despite that, Remy does have good intentions and doesn't give up easily. He gets his family to help him cook ratatouille for Ego, resulting in him to be very impressed with the dish.
Taste check, spoon down!
Behind Remy and Emile is their dad and leader of the rat colony, Django. Unlike Remy, Django initially didn't believe that humans and rats would ever get along due to the ongoing nature of humans looking down on rats.
Stay out of the kitchen and away from the humans.
After finding out that Remy has been close to humans, Django brings him to an extermination shop with dead rats hanging on a bar. Despite how hard he is on his youngest son, he acts the way he does to protect him from getting hurt by humans, especially if it meant showing him that shop. However, near the end of the movie, Django finally sees Remy's passion and determination to cook, and realizes that humans aren't that bad. He rounds up the rat colony to help out Remy in the kitchen, and lock up Skinner and the health inspector into the storeroom when they try to interfere. This shows how Django has a change of heart for the better. Rounding up the good characters is Mustafa, the waiter of Gusteau's. Mustafa easily gets nervous when dealing with demanding customers and critics, especially Ego.
Someone has asked what is new.
But at the end of the day, he is just doing his job. No matter how difficult it can be to deal with customers, he doesn't feel the need to complain about it. With that said, we've wrapped up the good characters. Let's move on into the neutral territory. This is the gray area. Starting off the gray area are 3 of Gusteau's chefs, Horst, Lalo, and Larousse. There's not a whole lot to say about them, since we only know anything about them because of Colette briefly recalling their strange backstories.
I killed a man with this thumb.
They aid Linguini when he takes ownership of the restaurant. For example, Horst uses his thumb to kick Skinner off the premises when he catches him spying on Linguini and Colette. However, they don't stand by his side for very long after they find out that Remy is the real chef behind the clumsy fool. They quit the restaurant along with the rest of the employees. Up next is Colette. Colette is the only woman in the kitchen who is assertive and opinionated, especially when it comes to cooking. She defended Linguini from almost getting fired after the soup was served successfully on accident thanks to Remy.
He's a garbage boy.
Who made something she liked?
However, when she is forced to train Linguini, she is brutal and harsh in doing so. At one point, she becomes angry and envious when he gets attention from Skinner. Despite how negative she felt about it, she admits that she likes Linguini and wants him to succeed. Even after leaving the restaurant due to the revelation that Remy has been the real cook, she remembers Gusteau's motto, anyone can cook, and comes back to aid Remy and Linguini in the cooking.
Just tell me what the rat wants to cook.
Now we have the health inspector. The health inspector only appears once in the movie, attempting to interfere with the rat colony's plan to prepare a dish for Ego. After being released, he eventually gets the word out that rats were in the kitchen, causing Gusteau's to be closed down for good. Despite that the health inspector's interference has affected Ego's credibility as a critic, it all came down to the fact that he was just doing his job. The grayest character, literally and metaphorically, is none other than Anton Ego. Ego is a restaurant critic who is extremely passionate about food. His negative review led to Gusteau's 5-star restaurant being downgraded to 4 stars. When he initially rejected the belief that anyone can cook, it eventually led to Gusteau's death before the events of the film. Despite how terrifying Ego's demeanor is, he means what he says out of constructive criticism. Also, believe it or not, Ego does have a soft spot. When he takes a bite of the ratatouille cooked by Remy, he enjoys it so much that it takes him back to a simpler time when his mom would cook for him as a child.
And who do I thank for the meal?
When Ego finally sees that Remy was the one who cooked the food, he finally realizes what Gusteau meant when he said that anyone can cook. While not everyone can be an artist, true talent can be found in the most unusual place when we least expect it. After losing his job and credibility as a critic, he became happier and successful as a small business investor and regular patron of La Ratatouille. Unlike most Disney villains who refuse to change their ways, we can definitely say that Ego changed for the better. Lastly, we have Talon Labarthe, Skinner's lawyer. Labarthe is only shown to be siding with Skinner while discussing the documents that reveal the fact that Linguini is Gusteau's son. However, the advice that Labarthe gives Skinner in the heat of the situation is shady. He advises him to wait out the will's 2-year deadline and then fire Linguini so that no one will ever know about it.
Then you can fire him whenever he ceases to be valuable.
Now on to the final category that we've all been waiting for, the bad and the evil. Second to most evil title goes to Maybelle, the elderly homeowner from the beginning of the movie. Despite that Maybelle would not exactly be considered evil, given the fact that it is common for most humans to be scared of rats, she is ranked very low for attempting to kill the rat colony with her shotgun. To make matters worse, she kept trying to shoot at them even after they had already evacuated her home, which causes Remy to be separated from his family for a while after getting swept in the sewers. But at the very least, we can definitely say that if it wasn't for Maybelle, Remy would have been led to a very different path to self-discovery. To no one's surprise, the most evil medal goes to Chef Skinner. Skinner became the head of Gusteau's restaurant shortly after Gusteau's death. However, he did not hold Gusteau's interests in the highest regard. He only cared about earning profit from his line of Chef Gusteau's frozen foods to maintain the financial status of the restaurant.
They're like corn dogs, only smaller.
there was always one-sided rivalry when it came to Skinner's relationship with Linguini, especially when it came down to the discovery that Linguini is Gusteau's son and the rightful owner of the restaurant. For example, due to his suspicions that Linguini is scheming in the kitchen, Skinner invites him to the office to get him drunk in order to get him to spill the beans on his so-called talent. Then after finding out that Remy is the cook, he attempts to get revenge on both of them by capturing Remy and intending to force him to create a line of frozen foods in exchange for not killing him. That wraps up the list. Who do you think are the most good and evil characters of Ratatouille? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit that notification bell and binge our Good to Evil playlist, where we break down the morality of characters on your favorite shows and movies. But most importantly, stay wicked.